Chapter 2. Dad had been a well-respected neurologist ever since I could remember, which was ironic considering my mother's illness. Shortly after her diagnosis, Dad accepted a position as professor of neuroscience at West Florida University in Tampa. He thought the better hours would give him more time to be with Mom. He also had access to their research laboratory, which he hoped to use to find a treatment for Mom's condition. Unfortunately, Dad never found the treatment he was looking for, and Mom passed away 4 years later. We arrived at Dad's office 5 minutes early. His office door had a large window at the top. Under the window was a nameplate that read, Dr. Bernard Newman. The window had a blind that was closed, but it was still obvious that the lights were not on. I tried the door, but it was locked. "Wouldn't you know it?" I said. "We are early," Lisa said. "Let's give him a few minutes." We heard footsteps and turned to see a very tall black man walking toward us. He was about 6.5 feet tall, but probably weighed less than I did in high school. I recognized him as a friend and coworker of my dad, Dr. William Patterson. I always called him Dr. Bill. When Dad graduated from medical school and became a resident, Dr. Bill was his attending physician. Dr. Bill was the one who talked Dad into taking the job at the university. He was in his mid-60s, with a receding hairline, but not a gray hair on his head. He always seemed to be smiling, as he was doing now. That's probably why Dad liked him. "Good morning, Dr. Bill," I said. "I see you are still on your hunger strike." He laughed loudly and said, "You certainly are your father's son." He turned his attention to Lisa and said, "Lisa, it is so good to see you again. You look as beautiful today as you did on your wedding day." I noticed a slight blush on Lisa's face, and she said, "Thank you so much, Dr. Patterson." "Please call me Bill," he said. He looked at me and added, "Your father is in the lab. He asked me to find you. Have you been to the lab before?" "No, we haven't," I said. "I'll show you where it is," he said. "Follow me." He led us to the elevator, and we went inside. He held his ID badge against a sensor and hit the button for the 3rd floor. We got off the elevator, and I noticed a large sign that said, "Research, authorized personnel only." It surprised me that a school would be so restrictive, but I guessed any patents they obtained were of value to the school, and they needed to protect their research. We turned left and entered a long hallway with doors on both sides. Every 30 feet or so, there was another set of doors. I guess there were about a dozen rooms, but didn't count them. We stopped at the second door on the left. The sign said, Neurology Lab. Dr. Bill pushed the door open and motioned us inside. He said, "I have a lot of work that I must catch up on, so I'm going back to my office. It was nice seeing both of you again." We smiled and thanked him before going inside. As we entered the lab, I noticed it was about the size of a high school classroom. The left wall looked like a kitchen. It had a long countertop with cabinets above and below, and a sink in the middle. On the far wall were 3 large storage cabinets. Next to them were several rolling carts with what looked like medical equipment. Along the right wall was a long bench, separated into 4 small workstations with a stool in front of each section. It made me think of Santa's workshop. What looked like a large metal donut was in the middle of the room. I assumed it was one of those open MRI machines, but I wasn't sure. Next to the machine were 3 workstations, each with at least 2 computer monitors. It was quiet, except for a slight hum that seemed to be coming from all around us. The room was empty of people, except for a young man at one of the workstations, and my father standing behind him, looking at the monitors. When he saw us, he stood up straight, smiled, and said, "Alex, Lisa, I'm so glad you could come. I'll be just a second." He turned back to look at the monitors again and said something to the young man. He looked at us and said, "You're just in time. We need a couple more test subjects." "Test subjects?" I said. "You're joking, right?" "We just made a breakthrough, Alex. We need more data to confirm our results. Perhaps you and Lisa could help us out." "We're not guinea pigs, Dad. Don't you have minions for that?" "If by minions you mean students, then the answer is no. I only have minions Monday through Friday, except Jason here," he said jokingly as he patted Jason on the shoulder. "It's perfectly safe. Jason and I did it already. We need a couple more scans for comparison." "Scans?" I asked. "You mean using that MRI thingy?" "It's significantly more advanced than an MRI machine, but it is similar. Dad said. We'll just take a simple brain scan. There's no danger to you and you'd be helping us out. We came here to tell you something important, Dad. 20 minutes tops for both of you. Then we can go out for lunch. My treat. I looked over at Lisa, who looked back at me and shrugged. Okay, I said. What do you want us to do? Dad instructed me to lie face up on a table connected to the brain scanning machine with my head toward the donut. I couldn't see what was happening, but I did hear tapping on the keyboard. The machine kicked on, and it started to make a somewhat loud banging noise. I was worried it was about to self-destruct, but I heard Dad say, "Keep perfectly still, Alex. This will only take a couple of minutes." Suddenly, the table started to move me toward the machine. I slowly entered the donut. Everything was very well lit, but there wasn't much to see. Then everything went dark. This audiobook continues on the next video. For more information on this book and others by this author, please visit charleshuss.com.